All right, we're bringing to you Laynes and Wayne's Cargo and Passenger Service. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being there. Y'all stand by. Roger on that. We'll be back in about 40 seconds. About 40 seconds. Blast off. Well, we started out, we're going to go around the USA, United States of America. Then after we get back to Houston, we're going to take off and go cross-continent to every continent. Laynes and Wayne's Cargo and Passenger Services. You can see we started out on November 28th, left out of Houston, and flew into Bastrop, Texas, took a load of 500 turkey fryers. See the invoice. We got paid $8,000 for going 107 nautical miles. Going on down here, we're keeping a record. I can scroll over here where you can see we had to put it over here, the names of the cities. We put the IAOs, the airports, over on the left column, on the left rows. So we scrolled over here and put some more room. As of today, counting the flight we're about to take, we went ahead and put it on there, even though we haven't taken it yet. But after this flight we're about to take, from Seattle, Washington to Spokane, Washington, we have traveled 2,338 nautical miles, and our invoice totals, we've been paid $423,000. So from now on, every flight we take, everything we deliver, we want it to be on the recording, whether it's a live stream or recording like this right here. So let's get in the air. I'm looking forward to it. I know Gamer Wayne's looking forward to it. I trust you're looking forward to it. Here we go. Okay, we're getting ready to fly out of Seattle, Washington, up in Washington State, up here in Washington State in the northwest of the United States of America. We're going to be flying over, still staying in the state of Washington, over to Spokane, Washington. Let's pull up our EFB and take a look. On our EFB for our flight plan, we're going in a Grand Caravan. We need to change that from the Skyhawk. We're going to go in a Grand Caravan. Let's go at a altitude cruising 4,000. I really need to go ahead and change that. Let me close that out. Let's change this to Grand Caravan. We'll search for that. 208. Grand Caravan. The only one they show to have is for skydiving. We're not going to be doing skydiving. We'll just change that livery. Let's configure that. Change the livery. That's all they have is skydiving for the Grand Caravan, unless we want to buy more liveries, and we'll do that a little later and get us a cargo livery. Well, let's see if we can change the variant. Maybe we can change the variant. Variant, let's go cargo. That's what it was right there. Going cargo. Now let's look at the liveries. Oh, we got several liveries we can look at. All right, we'll just go with that one for now. Saving back. Nice. We'll saving back, going with the Grand Caravan. Now let's open the EFB. Cruise altitude 4,000. Going from Seattle to Spokane, Washington. That's going to be a total distance 206 nautical miles. Okay, let's close that. Let's get in the air. Okay, we're setting on the runway here. Let's get those off. We won't need those. Setting on the runway here at Seattle, Washington, about to take off. Heading out to Spokane. Looks like a beautiful day out here. This is a pretty good sized airport. I wish I could take that off. Let me see if I can take that off. Okay, here we go. Somebody else wanting to taxi. I don't know if they're departing or arriving. Let's go ahead and get in the air. Oh, my trim's way low, especially in the Grand Caravan. Finally see some airspeed on the HUD. I've been flying that Cessna for a while. Finally hopping in this Grand Caravan. It's a good thing we got a long runway. It's taking a while to get up to speed. Squawk 2124 Cessna 367 Tower. We're having a problem with liftoff. We're turning around. Okay, back in the cockpit. They got it fixed. We're getting ready to take off. See, they still got that on. Why is that on? I've turned everything I know to turn that off. Okay, here we are back in the cockpit, ready to fly. Heading out to Spokane, heading out of Seattle, Washington. Okay, we're lifting off now. That's the way it's supposed to work. Oh yeah. Somebody coming in behind us in a big, look like a jet back there.
Seattle
Not
Tower
sure. I
Cessna,
didn't look quick
November
enough.
80185 frequency change.
Didn't look long enough at it to see what it was. Not sure, but we're going to be
Seattle
out of their
approach
way real
Cessna,
quick.
November 80185 is type Cessna Caravan 1 mile southeast of Seattle, 1,200 feet. Request flight following.
Cessna November 80185 Seattle approach. Squawk 1064.
Squawk 1064 Cessna 185.
Cessna 185 radar contact 1 mile south of Seattle, 2,000 feet. Altimeter 29er. 9er 2.
I prefer to be out here
Roger,
until
Cessna 185.
I level off. After I level off, I would want to be in here. Direction of the sun changed from earlier. We can barely see the mountain back there, out there in the distance, straight in front of us. It's going to be off to our south after we make our eastward turn here. I want to turn a little bit more for the east instead of heading instead of altitude. We have a ways to go to get to Spokane. We're carrying military imagery equipment on board, taking it out to Spokane. They might be taking it to an Air Force base close by. Not sure what they're going to do with it. We're just paid to deliver it.
Cessna 185 contact approach on 125. 6. Good day.
125. 6 for Cessna 185.
Okay, let's set our heading in right here. Want it at 73. Heading set. Let's get an altitude of 4,000. Set that. We're flying just a little bit above that. Go ahead and put on autopilot. Autopilot's on. Altitude select on. Heading mode on. We're just a little bit below our intended altitude, but we're climbing. Vertical speed around 400, 300. Maybe sit back a little bit in my seat here. What a beautiful flight over those mountains. Have to keep an eye on our altitude with those mountain peaks right there to the east, right in front of us. I tell you what, video games and simulators, they've come a long way, haven't they? Oh wow, yes, they've come a long way. Oh, I didn't even know you were over there. I didn't know I had a I didn't even know you were over there. I didn't know I had a co-pilot. I didn't know I had a co-pilot on this trip. How can I be in the plane and not even realize I have a co-pilot? All right. Yeah, video game simulators, they've come a long ways, long ways, haven't they? I remember they used to be pixelated, and they came from pixelated entertainment. I mean, we were entertained by those old, I mean, at least those of us that are old enough to have experienced that, and I guess even if you're not old enough, in modern times, they've taken some of the older games and reintroduced them, but video games have changed from being pixelated entertainment to nowadays complex, immersive experiences. And there's a huge variety of different genres, different types. A lot of different purposes for simulators, for video games. I mean, we can be entertained by them, and we are. We can even be educated by video games and simulators. Tell you what, I've learned things just this week. For instance, me and O'Gamer Wayne, we were out on the farm a day or two ago, and we were doing a constructible log cabin, and we learned things about that. Like before we started putting that constructible in, we didn't know what it was going to take to build that log cabin. And another thing that we figured out we could learn on Farming Simulator is when it comes to growing rice, the things you have to do to grow rice. You can't just walk out there and say, I'm going to grow rice, and do it unless you have some kind of background knowledge or somebody to tell you how to do it. And talking about video games and simulators, there are even a lot of different types of video games and simulators, and we do a lot of them here on the channel. So how many different types of video games or simulators can you think of? This would be a great topic for a live stream. Actually, I think next time we're on a live stream, I'm going to bring this topic up. One type of video games that we enjoy is action games. I remember when we were younger, they had action games back then, but especially in recent times, action games, think about fast-paced games, maybe physical challenges. You have to really use hand-eye coordination, have to have good reaction time. A lot of times action games will have combat. They'll have what's called platforming. Platforming's where you move your character across a particular area. You're trying to reach a goal, and you might be confronting enemies, or you might be trying to avoid obstacles. And action games usually have a gameplay that's really intense, has an intensity to it, high energy. In the genre of action games, there's a subgenre that a lot of people really like nowadays, the first-person shooters, where you can experience the game through actually playing as a central character, and you can experience platformers in there, trying to navigate your character through various levels, having to avoid obstacles, having to either avoid and go around enemies, or just go in and take them on head on, just run and gun. Some of the action games that come to my mind, Call of Duty, That's first person shooter. Man, we're getting low, close to these mountaintops. We might have to raise it on up. Let's look outside. Yeah, we need to raise it on up. Let's go up to about 5,000. Let's climb pretty fast. I think we'll be all right there. We want to make sure. Let's climb a little more aggressively. Yeah, that's going to be it. Got a little turbulence over here out over the mountains. I remember my first flight ever. Back in the 1980s, I was actually flying to boot camp, heading to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and we got in some turbulence. My first flight ever, we got in some turbulence over the Ozark Mountains. Take some of that trim off. It's trying to throw me in a backward spin. There we go, that's much better. Trying to back up off that dash and it kept putting me back behind the seat like that. Okay, we're way up over our intended altitude. Here we go, that's much better. Yeah, now we can back up as much as we want and let's set up high. See if we can get this altitude. We'll take it to about 6. Just to make sure we're good over these mountains. I should have checked my flight plan a little closer. Okay, we want to go up to 6. We want to keep the heading right there at 73, just like it is. Heading zone. Altitude zone. Let's go autopilot. That autopilot's really bouncing back big time trying to adjust. That vertical speed way too fast when I first kicked it in. Let's get that autopilot off. It's not being my friend today. Okay, it's off. That autopilot keeps wanting to give me tremendous amount of trim. We're not wanting that kind of trim in this Grand Caravan. See if we can just take it down manually. I want to get down to about 6,000. Beautiful mountains out here. It's so beautiful out here. Look at that lake out there. Off to the east southeast. Beautiful, beautiful flight. Okay, let me sit back and get comfortable here in the cockpit. I don't know if 6,000 is going to be where we want to be till we get over these mountains. I'm going to move it on up to about 9. That's about where we're at anyways. Go ahead and get the autopilot on, see if it'll act right for me. No, see, I'm at 9,000. Oh, it's trying to adjust the heading. Let's just give it a minute, see if it'll level out where it needs to be. Looks like it's going to be okay. Let's go check the heading. Heading's looking good. Altitude's looking good. 400 vertical speed. 200 vertical speed. Minus 200, that is. Going down to, we're wanting to get down to 9,000 now. At first we thought we were going to be okay with 4,000. Then we switched it to 5. Now we're feeling much better at 9,000 for altitude. Okay, we got it where we want it now. I'm glad we're hauling cargo and not passengers, all the turbulence we had so far over these mountains. Yeah, anyway, some of the action games that come to mind, Call of Duty for the first person shooter, and there's so many more nowadays, so many more. How about one maybe you wouldn't think of right off for an action game? Super Mario Brothers. How many of y'all remember that one? It's been a while since I've played Super Mario Brothers, but you definitely have platforming going on in Super Mario Brothers, and there are many more that have first-person shooters and platformers. If any come to your mind, won't you jot it down in chat? And these kind of games, you really get a challenge. You got to think quickly. You have to manage your in-game actions. I mean, sometimes just real quick, you gotta think about what you're gonna do, and you gotta do it real quick, or you won't be successful. And action games can really be thrilling, and not only can they be thrilling, they can hold your attention for hours. I mean, action games, you can just keep coming back to them time and time again, and put a lot of time in them. Okay, let's pull up our EFB, see where we're at here. We're staying on that line really well. I have a ways to go. A lot of other planes in the air today. We're probably going to speed it up. Well, actually, we're at 121 airspeed. I really like this Grand Caravan. We've got 48% fuel, so that's looking good. Those mountains are really looking taller, aren't they, y'all? They look like they're higher than the ones we just climbed over. What a beautiful spot to be fishing down there. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, looks like the sun's... Let me see if we can find the time. Oh, it's 14:42 in the afternoon, but it looks like the sun's coming up or going down, I guess because of so much haze out here. I knew a man when I was in the military years ago. He was from Washington State, and he called it God's country. He said it rained a lot, though, out there. Any of y'all from that area? I don't know. I think we might need to climb up a little more. How did our altitude get so low? It's set on 9,000. Heading still on. Autopilot still on. Let's get some more vertical speed going on. Do about 700 feet a minute. I want to climb up to 9,000. Make sure we clear those mountaintops. I don't want to have to camp out in the mountains in Washington State tonight. Yeah, what's some of your favorite action games that you play or that you played before? What's some that you keep going back to? There are some, even after you reach end level in the game, that you can still keep going back to it. We might need to start climbing. Well, no, we're doing good. We're up at 8,000 already. Let's go out here just a little while. I like first person inside the cockpit. I like third person. I'm happy both ways. But if I'm climbing, I mean, I could set up a little more, but still, I'm just looking at the nose of the plane mostly. If I'm climbing, I really prefer to be out here where I can see what's going on, see the action. That is so beautiful, especially when you have such beautiful views. I'd like for it to be a sunshiny day, but this is pretty immersive. We just take what they're giving us, this real life weather. Why are we stalling? Are we trying to climb too aggressively? Well, let's take over autopilot again. Let me back up in the cockpit here. Get some more turbulence, y'all.
Seattle Center Horizon Air 2152 is passing FL 190, climbing FL 290. Horizon Air 2152 Seattle Center radar contact, continue.
We might not need that full 9,000. But we're going to hang in there till we get over these peaks.
Stall. 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 Stall.
Okay,
Stall. Stall.
let's change the mixture. Let's fuel it up, throttle it up, get over these mountains, through this turbulence. We're approaching 9,000. That's where we wanted to be. Let me see if I can trust. Let me see if I can trust autopilot again. I don't know if I can. Let's try it. Heading zone, altitude zone. We're gonna try it. Nope, we're not gonna give you that much room. Okay, let's take back over. Take over trim. Yeah, man. Yeah, that wind's really rocking us around out here, y'all. I'm gonna make sure that autopilot's off for now. Okay, it's off. I didn't mean to turn you on. I want you off. Every time I turn it on, it immediately jumps into that trim and increases it tremendously. We don't want that much trim in this turbulence over these mountains. Okay, let's just fly it ourselves for a little while. Woo! We're going off course. Go back to the north a little bit. Let's just go right through this little valley right here between the peaks. Then we'll start our descent and bring it down to about 4,000 after we get through this little valley here and over that one last peak I see right in front of me that's in our close vicinity. I'm going to turn that altitude off. Every time I turn around, that altitude's trying to change on me. Let me turn that off. Okay, we've got full control. Everything's looking beautiful. I'd like to come back here and bring another flight through here when it's more of a sunshiny, clear, blue sky day. Talking about video games and simulators. Isn't that beautiful? Another genre, adventure games. How many of y'all like adventure games? Adventure games, they usually they focus on narration. When you play an adventure game, you can usually explore a lot of different kind of environments. You can even solve puzzles, have a storyline, which sometimes in adventure games, the storyline may not be real clear right up front, and sometimes it might be. Sometimes you might have to uncover the storyline. Usually, Old Gamer Wayne will really like this about adventure games, that you sometimes have an emphasis on exploration. You get to explore a lot, and adventure games sometimes might have more dialogue than they do action. Not always, because I mean action and adventure can go hand in hand, but a lot of times adventure games will have dialogue. And one of the key elements when it comes to adventure games, being able to interact with characters or objects in the game world where you're playing at. Some of the games I immediately think about, one of the older ones that I really didn't play a lot, but I did get in there some, was The Legend of Zelda. I'm trying to remember, is that one with the castle where you had to go in the castle? And that would definitely have platforming in there. Whoa, low back on the throttle, Layne. I'm thinking too much about different kind of games. I need to focus too on my flying. Don't forget you flying a plane. And some modern examples of adventure games. Dave the Diver. I've never played Dave the Diver, but I've heard of it. It looks fun. I'm thinking about maybe getting it and trying it. Any of y'all like Dave the Diver? What's the most, if you played Dave the Diver, I'm trying to decide if I want to get it. If you played Dave the Diver, what's the most adventurous thing you can think of on Dave the Diver? One of the really, really recent adventure games at the time of this recording is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. In adventure games, they'll combine storytelling with gameplay, and when you play them, you can really immerse yourself in the complex worlds that the developer created. And a lot of times in adventure games, you'll have not only the complex worlds that you can immerse yourself in, but sometimes you'll even have very intricate plots. Okay, let me see if I can get that autopilot back on. We want to go, we'll fly about, I think 7,000. We'll fly about, I think 7,000 feet. How you like how they moved all this up here? Go down to 7,000. It's wanting to go on down 7,000. Let's set that for our altitude hold. Let's keep our heading right where it's at. Let's turn our autopilot on, see if it'll do it for us. Me and autopilot just haven't been getting along that great today. I don't know if it's mostly me, mostly the turbulence, or what. But anyway, it seems like it's wanting to cooperate now. I think we'll change our heading just a little bit more to the north. Just a little bit, see if we can get back close to that center line. Too much throttle, Layne. Way too much throttle. Back off of it. Back off of some. Whenever I do that, for some reason, keeps looking somewhere besides out of the window. I don't know where my view's at. I don't know why that's doing like that. Now I'm looking back to the back of the plane. I'm back behind the seats. I'm behind the seats. That's as far back as I can go. I wish that wasn't a thing. I wish you couldn't go back way behind the seats like that. I want to go back a little further, but I don't want to go back behind the seats. Okay, we're looking good. Our heading set at 76. It's getting us back closer to the intended course. Our airspeed 71. Let's give it a little more throttle. We got to get there today. That really picked up our vertical speed when we did that. It's going to get there and hold off at 7,000. What's happening to our heading? Okay, we're good. What's happening to our heading? Is autopilot still on? Autopilot's on. Heading's on. Altitude hold mode's on. We're just going to let the autopilot keep it and just see what it does. It's having a hard time. I might have to grab it. I'm keeping an eye on it. All we did was gave it a little more throttle. And that really threw it. It really threw it in a kink, but well, it got to 7,000 and kept climbing. It noticed it. It's going to correct it and back up to 7,000 on that altitude hold. And another genre of games that's really seems like niche specific. I mean, if you really get into these kind of games, then you're all about it. Which we've done some before. Me and Old Gamer Wayne. It's role-playing games, RPGs. I mean, we've taken some games before that weren't necessarily role-playing games and made role-playing content out of it. Like on Farming Simulator, we've done some RPG on Red Dead Redemption Online. We've done some role-playing air accessing live air traffic data. It's still trying. I'm glad we're in a virtual simulator right now and not IRL, seeing something like that. And RPG players, you can take a character, you can take the role of a character in a fictional game or simulator. And like for instance, on some of the role-playing we've done in Farming Simulator, we would take on different character names. And RPGs, usually they have a story that drives them. You might have customization, where you can do a lot of customizing on your character. On RPGs, you have a lot of decision making, maybe world building. And usually if you're in an RPG, in a role-playing game, you can progress. You can see progression, which I really love, and I believe Old Gamer Wayne does too. I'll be glad when he can get back out here with us. He's changing internet providers, and he should be able to get back out here with us either tonight or tomorrow. But I believe that Old Gamer Wayne, like me, really likes progression in a game, where you're working for something and you're seeing why you're doing what you're doing. And sometimes you just want to get on a game where you don't have to worry about why you're doing it. You just want to do it and have fun. Sometimes in RPGs, for that progression, you might have to complete quests, or you might see leveling up of your characters. So if you really like deep narrative, or you like strategy or strategic thinking, then you might perhaps like role-playing games. And a lot of times in RPG, you'll manage resources and skills, and you might even have relationships with other characters. And you can see some of this stuff in other games too, like the managing resources. You might see that also in survival games. So how about survival games? How many of y'all just really love survival games? Yeah, I told you this would be a great topic. This would be a great topic for a live stream. I'm gonna have to bring this topic up on a live stream. And when I do, I think one of the questions I'll ask, if you could make any kind a video game or simulator, what would you make? What would it be about? What genre would it be? Would it be action? Would it be adventure? Would it be RPG? Would it be survival? Or maybe one of the topics that we haven't even discussed yet, haven't even gotten to. There's so many of them. Okay, we can go back in the cockpit now. We're looking good at 7,000. 7,000, flying along at 135. Our fuel is still 48. Unlimited fuel must be on or something, because we should have used some fuel by now. Okay, let's bring up the EFB. Take a look where we're at. When you zoom it way out like that, it doesn't look like we have very far to go. Okay, we're about halfway to our destination. Wonder if we can see that other plane if we look off to the left, or if they're too far out to the horizon. Look like they're still a pretty good ways from us. Can't see them. So much haze out there, but I think they're still quite a few nautical miles from us, and it looks like they're traveling away from us, getting more distance between us and them, which in the aviation world, that's a good thing. Let's take a look at the EFB here. Total distance 211 nautical miles. A little over an hour of flight. I should have started that whenever we took off. I should have started that up there. We didn't even put our payload in here. Didn't even put our cargo in here. I should have done all that. Flying VFR. I'm going to have to get better at remembering to go into my AFB and putting all this information in here. We did put the departure airport and the destination airport. We put that. Runway 21 is where we're headed to, there in Spokane. It says cruise altitude 100. I didn't even change that. Okay, we climbed over that mountain range. So we were talking about survival games, and I'm not going to keep you in here with me on the entire flight. I'm going to skip some of it here in just a little bit. Just having too much fun talking with you about the different kind of games and simulators. Survival games. Now, survival games, some of y'all probably think of half a dozen or a dozen or more right now, just like that. Survival games will challenge you by having you endure harsh environments. How many y'all can think about a survival game with a harsh environment? I mean, you can have elements like cold, like heat, like storms, earthquakes, all kinds. Like on even on Icarus, you can have storms with lightning that will cause your base that you're building to catch on fire. I remember I probably lost a base before on Icarus from the lightning. In survival games, you can gather resources. I really like doing all that stuff. Gather resources. You might have to manage a limited amount of supplies. Overcoming those threats like the lightning storms. You might have hostile creatures, extreme weather, other players. And a lot of times on survival games, you get to go exploring, you can craft. I really like games where you can do crafting. A lot of times on survival games, you'll have to use strategy when you're making decisions. I really like how this autopilot finally leveled us off. Has us in a real good heading. We might need to tick that over to 67. Let's just, oh, I went way too much. Tick it to 67 just to get a little more precise there. We're flying pretty level at 7,000. Oh yeah, we were talking about survival games. In survival games, another thing I really like about survival games is being able to build shelters, build bases. I like putting down placeables that the game already has, but I also like being able to just take and design your own and build your own how you want to build it. I like being able to hunt for your food, not only hunting just to get a trophy or sell it for money, but actually the survival aspect of hunting and for food to survive, and being able to create tools and maintain those tools to help you in surviving. A lot of times in survival games that I've played and that we played and been on, you'll have open world settings where you can just go where you want. And in something like that, you can just create your own narratives based on what you do and what you choose. Some of the games I think of when it comes to survival, I already mentioned Icarus, also Subsistence, games like Rust, DayZ, even Power World, and Sunken Land. Whole lot of survival games out there. There's another one that I want to try. I haven't seen much on it. I don't even know exactly how to pronounce it. It looks like it's called Astromatica, something like that. Astrometica. So on survival games, you get to actually have elements of a lot of the other genres. Like on survival games, you have adventure, you can have strategy, you can have competition with PvP or PvE, so you can be versus the environment, you can be versus other players, and a lot of times you have a lot of different challenges. So I have quite a few other topics of different kinds of games and simulators I want to discuss. But let me get on down the road some. I say down the road, figure of speech. Let me get on closer to our destination, and I see I need to change that. I need to change that heading back. We changed it just a little bit. We didn't change it enough. I need to change it a little more. So we're going to get on closer to Spokane. Got a few other different topics of games and simulators I want to talk about. I don't know if I get to all of them in this episode or not. If not, we'll talk about them in a live stream or a future episode. But what's some of the genres that you enjoy on video games or on simulators? Put it in the comments if you will. We'd like to hear from you. Okay, I'm gonna get a little closer to our destination, Spokane International, and we'll be right back with y'all. Okay, here we are, Spokane International. I can see look like ATC and Runway down there. Actually, I can see now, I turn those on. That's Fairchild Air Force Base. So that's probably where the equipment we have is going to end up at. But we're needing to go a little bit further to the south over here. Spokane, right there just south of the Air Force Base. Looks like they might be connected together. Okay, runway's in sight. Can't really see it at this view because of the design of the windshield. There it is, coming in sight. Get a little throttle, get over these trees. not used to landing in this view, even though I want to practice that more. I want to practice that and get better at landing in this view. But with all these trees here, this is not a good place to practice that. After I clear those trees, maybe I can go in that view and try it. I'd like to learn the glide slope, be able to read the glide slope.
Stall.
I'm going a little bit slow, but I want to, because when I make this descent, see right here? See, I'm not even lined up when I get back in the cockpit like this. I'm going to practice that and see if I can get better at landing it like that. Let's go to idle. Runway 21, right where we want to be. Here we go, just go right on down. Oh yeah, we're on the ground, Spokane, Washington, we're on the runway. Okay, we want to make that taxiway, we want to make that exit right there, get off the runway. I don't even know why
Spokane Airport information.
those
Charlie
alerts like that right there
2000.
keep coming up.
Windcom. Visibility 9er. Sky condition clear. Temperature
I'm going to try to
15.
figure out how to make those
Dew
quit
point,
coming
1
up.
tree. Altimeter 299er2. 15. ILS runway 21 in use. Landing and departing runway 21. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Charlie. Altimeter 299er2. 15. ILS runway 21 in use. Landing and departing runway 21. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Charlie.
Okay, we're going to load here. Thank y'all for being out here on this flight with us today. I wish old Gamer Wayne could have been here. Hey, you don't look like old Gamer Wayne, but I'm glad you got to ride along with us, ma'am. Thank you so very much for coming with us, and thank y'all. Don't forget to leave your comments down below and slam that like button, and subscribe if you're not, and if you are, thank you so very much. Thank all of y'all for being out here today, and we'll catch y'all next time. This is Old Gamer Layne and Wayne. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all take care.